Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And here I have a great article for you guys from RCR Wireless. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So recently, Chris Sambar from AT&T's EVP of Technology, he recently was speaking at a 6G summit this year. So this is crazy, of course, right? This is like such future talk. Most of this is speculation because they don't know. The 3GPP hasn't even set a standard, but it's already it's already in discussion. Standards are being developed. So that's already, it's already an open topic to discuss. And that's really what they're talking about here. So I want to read out something that is very interesting. And I want to elaborate on that further with some of my commentary and my take on it. So 6G is also expected to herald a massive increase in usage, as Chris Sambar, EVP of Technology at AT&T, said during remarks at the Brooklyn 6G Summit today. We've been told it should enable up to 10 times increase in usage on the networks, he noted, which is not unrealistic for the wireless network alone, considering that overall network backbone traffic for wireless and wireline has increased about that much compared to 10 years ago. That makes me sweat a little bit. We're going to need creativity, or we're going to need to get creative and innovative solutions to handle that. So that's interesting that he says that already now, making him sweat a little bit, right? So with 5G, midband was clearly the win. They spent $40 billion between C-band, DoD. Verizon spent more than $50 billion. T-Mobile had to acquire an entire company and their spectrum assets to really get this 5G in motion. And that's really what he's referencing, the overall investment that it's going to continuously take to get to this next generation of wireless. And it's not just airwaves. It's not just upgrades on the tower sites. You have to upgrade your entire back end system because, AT&T, across about 75% of their network, they own and operate their own fiber. So they have to continuously scale and modernize the data centers, just everything on the back end to keep up with what they have to put on air. Now that's really just standard. The standard is going to be 10 gig backhaul, 10 gig circuits. And that's what AT&T has to put in to their fiber wireline network to push these cell sites for the amount of bandwidth that's on air. Now, AT&T's biggest issue still, and I'm telling you guys, I've seen the comparisons, I've seen the internal overlays. Even AT&T knows that densification is their issue. They have a dense grid in markets where they have absolutely dominating market share, like Dallas, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia. And there's some others where they're solid, but they lack, if you compare to the competition, they're just not as dense. Their site spacing is more spread out on average versus Verizon and T-Mobile. And now Verizon and T-Mobile are making wireless their priority because they have a huge amount of traffic coming through those fixed wireless access pipes. So in the future, to keep churn as low as possible, eventually Verizon and even T-Mobile, they're going to do cell splits. They're going to do more small cells. They're going to really tighten that wireless network. So that's helping them get to the next generation of what 6G could possibly be. We're hearing it could be terahertz. And of course, if we're going to a higher frequency than even millimeter wave, you're going to need a small cell every 100, 200 feet. So Verizon is already laying the foundation for that now. If you look at their network build, they're very dense. They're adding small cells. They supplement, but they supplement well, right? They have a macro and then they put small cells all throughout neighborhoods. T-Mobile not quite there yet, but T-Mobile has a very dense macro grid, right? They have good site spacing, at least in my market. I've seen it in Dallas. In Dallas, just to compare, in the parts that I was in, wherever AT&T put a C-RAN, T-Mobile had a macro. So that's a fairly dense grid. And then I've seen some crazy density for T-Mobile in Manhattan, downtown Manhattan. like macro sites 300 feet away, like that dense. So T-Mobile has a foundation to go off of too. Are they going to need more small cells? Sure, but if we're comparing and looking at AT&T and him saying, that makes him sweat a little bit, they know they don't have as dense of a footprint. They just really didn't need it. They weren't too aggressive on wireless. They were going after media. So that halted a lot of their plans during LTE. I'm telling you guys right now, and I'm confident in that. I've heard this. I've seen it. They had a big plan to densify with C-RAN in 2014, 2015, and Randall Stevenson killed that plan. It did not happen. It was a lot. It was like 80,000 C-RAN back into the wireless network nationwide. And it just got shut down. It didn't happen, didn't come to fruition because they knew they wanted to buy media. They knew already internally before it was known publicly that they wanted to buy DirecTV and they wanted to buy Time Warner. They already had that somewhere written internally, and they went and chased it, and they got it. It was a mistake, but they ended up getting it, and the wireless network had to suffer for it. So now we're seeing some ramped up activity on the wireless side, but more is still needed, right? I in El Paso, I need about another 30, 40 sites to even get close to what Verizon and T-Mobile have out there. Although for current usage and market share here, it's fine, right? They have been deploying more sites. You guys have seen it on the channel. But, wireline is still their focus. And you guys will see that next year. Members, you're already aware. But you guys will see that next year that fiber is going to be more of a priority versus wireless. And it's interesting to see that, but it's good, right? If you have fiber and AT&T wireless, it's the ultimate converged package. And that's really what AT&T is trying to push, right? They're trying to offload their own network. If they can get a bunch of people onto the network, so it helps their wireless revenue, but after you get off of work at 4, 5, 6, whatever, you offload onto the fiber. That takes you off of the wireless network. And that's what AT&T wants to achieve. They want to strike that balance. Of course, in some markets, they just have to invest more. They got to add more sites. They got to add more C-RAN. No way around that. But for now, especially on the western side of the country, they don't have as much of a market share as they do on the eastern side. So they can be more aggressive here, monetizing fixed wireless access, growing the wireless space without having too much of an impact on the wireless network. On the eastern side of the country, they're just going to need more density. If they're going to continue growing at 400,000 to 500,000 a quarter, they're going to start growing internet air. They're going to need further densification. They're going to need more macros. They're going to need more C-RAN. They're going to need possibly some 4-sector sites. They recently just built one in my market. They didn't add any panels on that 4th sector, but the way the site is constructed, at any time they may need it, they can add a 4th sector with panels and radios and hook it up to their own fiber. So 6G it's in the early innings, very, very early innings. I mean, we haven't even seen the full stride on 5G. We haven't gotten to 5G advanced. We haven't really gotten to the new radios, more efficient panels. We haven't even gotten to that part yet. And, summits around 6G are already being held in some of the bigger cities. So we'll see the outcome. For now, AT&T, they're going to have to play this smart. I know they want to take the balanced approach, which is fine. But they're going to have to really, if the usage is going to increase by that much, they're really going to have to keep an eye on that wireless network. And they're really going to have to invest in it. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.